Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm now going to be reading chapter 14 from the book Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. This is one complete book rather than a collection of short stories, so I really do recommend that you listen to these chapters in order. Each chapter is uploaded as a separate video, and I always make sure that I include the chapter number in the title of the videos, so hopefully that makes it easier for you to follow. So we will continue now with chapter 14. The unearthly cold shot through my whole body. Uttering a terrified cry, I jerked away and spun round to face her. "Mum!" I cried, my voice shrill and tiny. "Sorry my hands are so cold," she replied calmly, unaware of how badly she had scared me. "It's freezing out. Didn't you hear me calling you?" "No," I told her. My neck still tingled. I tried to rub the cold away. I was thinking about something and... "Well, I didn't mean to scare you," she said, leading the way across the small car park to the car. She stopped to pull the car keys from her bag. "Did you and Dr. Fry have a nice talk?" "Sort of," I said. "This ghost has me jumping out of my skin," I realised as I climbed into the car. "Now I'm seeing the ghost everywhere." "I have got to calm down," I told myself. I've got to stop thinking that the ghost is following me. But how? Friday after school, Mum drove me to Dr. Shriek's music school. It was a cold, grey day. I stared at my breath steaming up the passenger window as we drove. It had snowed the day before, and the roads were still icy and slick. "I hope we're not late," Mum fretted. We stopped for a light. She cleared the windscreen in front of her with the back of her gloved hand. "I'm afraid to drive any faster than this." All of the cars were inching along. We drove past a crowd of kids building a snow fort in a front garden. One red-faced little kid was crying because the others wouldn't let him join them. "The school is practically in the next town," Mum remarked, pumping the brakes as we slid towards the junction. "I wonder why Dr. Shriek has his school so far away from everything." "I don't know," I answered dully. I was quite nervous. "Do you think Dr. Shriek will be my instructor, or do you think I'll have someone else?" Mum shrugged her shoulders. She leaned forward over the steering wheel, struggling to see through the steamed-up windscreen. Finally, we turned onto the street where the school was located. I stared out at the street of dark old houses. The houses gave way to woods, the bare trees tilting up under a white blanket of snow. On the other side of the woods stood a brick building, half hidden behind tall hedges. "This must be the school," Mum said, stopping the car in the middle of the street and staring up at the old building. "There's no sign or anything, but it's the only building for streets." "It's creepy looking," I said. Squinting through the windscreen, she pulled the car into the narrow gravel drive, nearly hidden by the tall, snow-covered hedges. "Are you sure this is it?" I asked. I cleared a spot on the window with my hand and peered through it. The old building looked more like a prison than a school. It had rows of tiny windows above the ground floor, and the windows were all barred. Thick ivy covered the front of the building, making it appear even darker than it was. "I'm fairly sure," Mum said, biting her lip. She lowered the window and stuck her head out, gazing up at the enormous old house. The sound of piano music floated into the car. Notes and scales and melodies all mixed together. "Yeah, we found it," Mum declared happily. "Go on, Jerry, hurry, you're late. I'm going to go and pick up something for dinner. I'll be back in an hour." I pushed open the car door and stepped out onto the snowy drive. My boots crunched loudly as I started to jog towards the building. The piano music grew louder. Scales and songs jumbled together into a deafening rumble of noise. A narrow walk led up to the front entrance. The walk hadn't been shoveled, and a layer of ice had formed under the snow. I slipped and nearly fell as I approached the entrance. I stopped and gazed up. It looks more like a haunted house than a music school, I thought with a shiver. Why did I have such a heavy feeling of dread? Just nervous, I told myself. Shrugging away my feeling, I turned the cold brass doorknob and pushed the heavy door. It creaked open slowly. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the school. And that is the end of chapter 14. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm going to be back soon to read chapter 15. And if in the meantime you would like to listen to any other stories, either from the Goosebumps series or a bit more of a mixture, then please do have a look at the channel, and I hope there's some videos there that interest you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you again soon for chapter 15. Bye!